going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and welcome back to yet another Tottenham update. We've got some news to talk about today. First of all, let's get into the update from Daily Hotspur on Twitter.
The big news, the big breaking news.
The big news that has sent Spurs Twitter into absolute meltdown, which is no news really at the end of the day.
That's why it's got into meltdown.
But as you can see from the thumbnail, there is a player in a silhouette. And anyway, the update from the Daily Hotspur is, it is my understanding that Tottenham Hotspur are very, very close to signing a big defender. Well, does that mean big in stature? Does that mean big in height? I mean, just big. Just big. So there's big. two ways it could be. It could be someone like a Sergio Ramos, who's big in stature, who's out of contract at the end of the year. It could be a Nikola Milenkovic from Fiorentina, who's 6'5". It could be Kim Min-jae, who's a big centre back.
Or it could be Razor Ruddock.
Exactly. So, what do you make out of that?
Yeah, look, it's very strange because Daily Hotspur is like a news aggregation Twitter account for Spurs news, and he doesn't usually tweet out information like that. So for him to put his neck out on the line is very peculiar, and it's why Spurs fans have kind of been kind of just rampant to know who this mysterious defender Tottenham are set to sign is going to be. It's not like Daily Hotspur to tweet out something like that. So I don't know. There's something odd about it that makes you think that there's something to it, but I don't know. Maybe it's just rubbish. It's difficult. It's difficult. You know, look, he hasn't tweeted any sources. He hasn't tweeted who the defender is. He hasn't tweeted how reliable this information is. He just says, from his understanding, Tottenham are very, very close. Two verys, very, very close to signing a new defender, or big defender. So who knows?
Basically, there's two ways it could go. Either he's got some really, really good source, and he's going to reveal all this info soon, or it's just a complete retweet, clout-chasing tweet.
Could be a big red herring. He was on TalkSport earlier today, so maybe he was talking to someone who was on TalkSport. I don't know what to think of it. I'm part of me's like excited, but other than Melpub side, it's probably rubbish. So let me know in the comments below. Who do you think this defender is? Is it legit? Are we got very, very close to signing one? Is Daily Hotspur onto something? Or are we just chasing absolutely nothing? Are we chasing shadows here?
I think we're chasing shadows, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe. But, you know, Milenkovic is not in the starting lineup today for Fiorentina.
Which was very peculiar because he started every game this season, so I don't know. Is
make of it what
Ramos
you will.
hasn't signed his new contract yet?
Make of it what you will. But let me know in the comment section below, do you believe there's any truth in this, or is Daily Hotspur just having us all on?
But why would he tweet out something and risk his account like that?
He's not risking anything. You know the nature of Twitter. After 2-3 days, these things are forgotten about. You know.
Is it another Prem Transfer Man 2.0? Do you remember that over the summer? He had everyone on strings with Skriniar. That was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Prem Transfer Man. I don't think
I'm just waiting for Daily Hotspur now to tweet out something like, saw Milenkovic in the airport, he winked at me and walked past and said COYS.
We'll have to wait and see now. But we're very interesting to see what his next tweet is. Daily Hotspur.
All right, let's move on. And this is from Dario AS, a tier 3 source from the Spurs Express out in Spain. And this is conflicting to what you were saying the other day about Gareth Bale, but they say
what Eurosport was saying.
Yeah, exactly. And they say Real Madrid believe Tottenham will cut their losses on Gareth Bale at the end of the season instead of taking up an option to have him on loan for a second year.
Look, I think the whole Gareth Bale thing, I just think that we just have to wait to see at the end of the season what the situation is, because look, right now it hasn't worked out. He hasn't really performed what we need or what we expect a player of his ability. But you know, if he has a big second half of the season, he's going to have worth having around. Even if he has a few moments, a few winners, if he scores a winner in a cup final, you know what I mean, just a few moments, he'll be worth sticking around. So look, I know people are frustrated and people are ready to bin him off and whatever. I'm still patient enough to see what he has to bring from now to the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised either way at this point how things go. But I think he is a positive influence in the dressing room. You can see that he seems happy. He seems to rub off on the squad as well. And I think having someone of his stature in there, I think helps.
Do you think, as it stands right now, would you give him that contract?
Right now, as it stands, no. I think he has to play,
as opposed to like when we did it with Lo Celso, we signed him 6 months early. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was different because I think he had proven his worth a bit. I think Bale hasn't really done that, but I think I want to see him play at least 25 games, this season for that to happen. Especially, I want to see him playing at least 15 games in the Premier League or something.
Yeah.
So hasn't really shown enough to justify it just yet. But I'm patient enough to see what he can bring. I'm not ready to bin him off just yet.
All right, let's move on. And this one is from Sky Sports Tier 2 source. And they say Middlesbrough, Swansea and Stoke are all interested in taking Jack Clarke on loan from Spurs, which I, for one, would completely welcome.
Yeah.
With Jack Clarke, I think, from now until the end of the season, apart from this Marine game, I can't see where he's going to play.
No, he needs a move. He needs a low move. He was never going to get game time.
I thought potentially maybe early stages of Europa League, but even then he didn't see time.
Yeah, he got a few sub appearances in the group stages, didn't he? And he wasn't awful, but he didn't really do enough to claim first team minutes. So I think, the best for all parties if he does get a low move and get some minutes under his belt, because his development seems to be stagnating a bit.
Yeah, that's very true. But let me know in the comment section below, are you open for Jack Clarke to move on loan to one of these clubs? It says Middlesbrough, Swansea or Stoke. But let's move on, and this is from Matt Law, 1.5 source, the Daily Telegraph, and they are saying that Tottenham Hotspur are confident now Heung-min Son will sign a new contract with the forward, keen to stay at Spurs past 2023 when his current deal expires. I mean, there is no Spurs fan in the world that doesn't want this to happen, is there?
Yeah, of course not. He's a massive player for us, and he clearly loves the club. I think he's at home. He's found a home.
And he's getting better and better.
Yeah, and I think he's appreciated by not only the club and by the fans as well. Really well appreciated, and he just needs one more thing, and that's just to get some silverware under his belt and have something to show for his time at Spurs. And I think everyone loves Son, having Son around, and I think he's one of the top forwards in Europe at the moment. So the quicker we get that contract signed, the better. And I'm just so happy that at the fact that he does want to stay here and he loves being at Spurs so much and he appreciates the club. And we've grown also since he's come in here. He's seen the club grow since he's come in. So I think he appreciates that, and everyone wants this deal to go through.
All right, and last but not least on the rumours, this one is from Fabrizio Romano, obviously Tier 1, and he says the Tottenham hierarchy was split over a decision to sign Christian Eriksen last summer, with the club opting not to make a bid to sign the midfielder. And this is obviously after that Inter Milan have basically come out and said that Christian Eriksen is available to leave this January. They don't want to keep him. He doesn't fit in their squad. And that has obviously brought to the press. Every single club under the sun is pretty much linked to a Christian Eriksen at the moment.
Sky Sports specifically saying that Pochettino is very seriously considering a move for him, which would make probably the most sense.
It would make the most sense. And if he does go to PSG, I'm telling you, he'll smash it out there. I'm pretty certain of that.
Yeah, it just hasn't. I think him and Conte hasn't really clicked. It's just a transfer that hasn't really worked out for all parties, I think, in terms of how it's gone since he's been a pretty big disaster, actually, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I thought it was never a match made in heaven, him going to that side.
It wasn't a step up.
They don't. It's not about step up, step down, but they don't play to his strengths. They don't play with a number 10. They play a 5-3-2 formation with Martinez and Lukaku up front, 3 centre mids. Most of them defensive, Brozovic, I can't remember the other 2 anyway, and then with two Barella with 2 wing backs in Hakimi and who is it, Ashley Young sometimes on the left hand side, and then with 3 centre backs. So where does he fit in there? Yeah,
and they're very much a very counter-attacking side, aren't they, Inter Milan? Just like the Chelsea side was when Conte was at Chelsea a few years ago. So it doesn't really suit Eriksen's strengths, I feel, to have to be in that kind of system. And we all know his strengths are in and around the final third, picking the lock, finding those angles, those passing lanes, seeing the passes no one else sees, and obviously shooting from outside the box. Those are his biggest strengths. And if you're not getting possession in and around, if you're not having a lot of ball possession in and around the final third, if you're just looking for quick transitions and looking to get the ball there quickly and not spending a lot of time there, then he's kind of surplus to requirements. I can see why he hasn't really worked out. And obviously defensively, he did a good job for Spurs, but in terms of how Inter want to defend, they like big, strong players in there. So I don't know if he really suits that system. And I'm sure having a manager like Pochettino who knows him well would be a good move for him. Would I take him back at Spurs? We do kind of have a bit of a creativity problem. So, I mean, the way it ended and how it's been for Eriksen, it kind of tells me that maybe it wasn't just that he didn't have the motivation to play for Spurs. Maybe he just is in a bit of a decline at the moment. It's hard to say because it's been so long now since since he played well.
Look, there was an obvious decline with him. He wanted out. His heart wasn't in it. Blah blah blah. But it wasn't just him that was on a downward trajectory. It was the whole squad pretty much.
Yeah.
The back end of Poch, even the beginning of Mourinho, we weren't playing that well. It was better than it was. The back end of Poch, we weren't playing that well. We won a few games here and there. So I think that to take him back on a 6-month loan from now until the end of the season, for me, is a win-win, because if he doesn't do well and his heart's not in it, you bin him off, you get rid of him, send it back to Inter at the end. If he does well and he plays well, and we know to the kind of abilities that we know he has, first of all, it completely transformed our attack because we know what he can bring. You know, when he was at Spurs, the top assists in the Premier League over the span of...
And goals from outside the box, always him.
Goals over the span of, 4 years or something?
Yeah, 5 years probably.
So, the qualities he has, absolutely brilliant. Age is not a big issue. He's only 29, you know what I mean? He's still got a good few years left in him. So, I think it's a complete win-win if you can get him on a 6-month loan deal.
Could bring the best out of Dele Alli as well,
And
potentially.
exactly.
They linked up pretty well
Brilliantly
when they were back together. Look, there's a couple of ways, because you know you don't want to be seen to be going backwards either, going back to old flames and trying to... I know we did it with Bale, but that was a difference because it's been so long. Like Eriksen, we only just got rid of. Do we want to bring it back straight away?
It's like when we brought back Robbie Keane and he just didn't live up to the hype.
Didn't quite work out. Although we brought back Defoe and he was better when he brought him back, so kind of goes both ways. I wouldn't be against it if we really think it's the right move and he wants to come back and we want him. I wouldn't be against it because we just know how good he can be. But I'm not like crazy about bringing him back. That's the reality.
Look, it's not the be-all and end-all. We've got other positions that we need to strengthen before we get
he's not also
Christian Eriksen.
Although we have a creativity problem, potentially, I don't think he's a massive priority, Eriksen, because we have good players in that position, Lo Celso, Ndombele and Dele. So it's not like we're short of options there to make something happen.
The only way I take him back is a loan. I wouldn't want to sign him back.
Agreed.
Because you know just because of the way it ended.
But the problem is he's probably on massive wages now, isn't he? Again, now we're not going to pay all those wages.
I think he's on over 300 grand or something.
Yeah, so we're not going to pay that anywhere near that. Inter would have to subsidise it if we were to bring him in. So I think PSG is probably the best option for him.
Probably. And Poch can.
And I hope if he goes,
Poch will get a tune out of him for sure.
I hope he does well. Like I've got nothing. I don't understand these people who like have a hump about Eriksen just because he wasn't great for his like. For the
I had the hump over Eriksen when he was at us because you could see the lack of effort onto the pitch at times. But right now, look, he gave us great years and he gave us top quality years as well.
Yeah, a lot of years. He was out with us for a long time. So like, I don't understand the fans who don't think I hope he doesn't do well and make fun of him all the time. Like, I hope he does well at PSG or whatever he does. Hope he kills it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. And the Daily Mail are claiming that Spurs have offered the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to the NHS as a club for COVID-19 vaccines. Obviously, that was following on from them offering the stadium to the NHS in the first lockdown. So great work from Tottenham Hotspur again.
Get 60,000 vaccines at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine just on the seat, just everyone lining up. Look, great work from Tottenham again. They've always made their stadium available for help for the NHS. So it's good work, and I hope it's true. I know it's only the Daily Mail, but it probably is true, seeing as beforehand they did the same thing. So I think that's good stuff from Tottenham.
And now let's finish off with a bit of Loan Watch. And let's start off with Ollie Skip. And he played in a 1-0 win against Barnsley. And that makes them 4 points clear at the top of the Championship. He is having an absolutely sensational season. And let me just run through some of the stats of this game. I mean, he's getting literally man in the match performances every game.
Yeah, they're raving about him.
The Norwich fans are raving about him. He is playing absolutely amazing. And now just read these stats. 66 touches, 79 pass accuracy rate, 6 long balls played, successful long balls, 11 out of 11 duels won, and 11 recoveries.
So defensively, he really has come on another notch, hasn't he? And you have to say as well, apparently it's only Max Aarons and him who have played every single minute for Norwich this season. Only those 2 players. So he's clearly a player they trust. They rely on him as well. And look, they're growing great guns, and he's clearly a big part of that, isn't he? So I'm sure if they do get promoted, they'll want to keep him for another season on loan. I'm sure.
You know, if they get promoted to the Premier League, would you be open to him going there for another year? I would.
I would, if depends what our options are. I wouldn't. I would quite like him to be part of the team, but if he's going to be down the pecking order, then I wouldn't mind him getting another year experience in the Premier League.
Playing week in, week out in the Premier League, every single minute pretty much, is going to be massive for him, for his development.
Sure. for sure. But on the other hand, would he be, if he's someone who we could use or need in midfield? I'd rather have him part of our team. But yeah, look, if we all sit in centre midfield, I wouldn't be against him staying at Norwich for another year, and I'm sure they would love him to stay for another year.
All right, and let's finish off talking about Ryan Sessegnon as he played 90 minutes in a 3-1 loss for Hoffenheim against Freiburg. Let me just read through some of the stats because he had another very solid 90 minutes and he is bulking up a bit. If you see some of the pictures online, you can really see he's starting to bulk up a bit. He's made 3 tackles, 82 pass accuracy, 7 crosses, 7 recoveries and 103 touches.
Nice, that's a lot. Yeah, and I saw someone posted like individual highlights of his performance. Even though they lost, he was still like one of their shining lights for Hoffenheim. So he seems to have found a bit of consistency in his game as well. He seems to be consistently performing quite well, getting goals and assists fairly consistently as well from that left-hand side. And that bodes really well for us, for him, because I think we're going to need him next season as an option. And it'll be really good if we can have him battling out of Reguilon and Ben Davis for a spot on the left-hand side next season. Or if we don't want to keep him, I'm sure these performances can convince someone to shell out a bit of money for him because he seems to be doing quite well. But I'd rather
I'd like to give him a crack at the whip.
Yeah, I'd rather have him stick around, and it's just another loan deal that seems to be working out for everyone because he needed that confidence, I feel. Yeah, and I feel like he's getting that now.
The thing that really makes me think that touches stat is really, really impressive for me is to show how much leaps and bounds he's come over and how much confidence he's getting, because I felt that when he was playing for Spurs last season, he was kind of, first of all, lacking in confidence and kind of hiding on the pitch a bit.
Playing within himself
and not making himself available for the ball all the time. And having 103 touches is massive, because when you look at Spurs this season, who's the one's been having our most touches? Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, bang in the middle of the park, everything goes through him. And when I'm looking at the stats, average he's getting around 70 to 80 touches, maybe 90 touches a game. This guy's getting 103 touches from left back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's a lot.
It's great.
It's a lot. I mean, he's showing for the ball a lot. He's finding good positions. He's always being an outlet, being made available. So clearly the coaching is helping him, and he's gaining more confidence out there in Germany. And he's just playing quietly, going about his business and doing his thing. And that's really good. It's really good stuff.
The one stat I want to see from Ryan Sessegnon is his take on stats, because that was really poor, and that was the one thing I thought he would be thriving at Spurs. I thought he would get the ball on the deck, get it, hug the touchline and take on a few players, which he didn't really do, did he? No. But let's see. I'll check out the stats and we'll bring it on to you for the next Loan Watch. But anyway, that is the end of the Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding anything that we spoke about today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs!